discussion. You are right on time for this show, and today we are discussing mental health. With me in studio is Brother William from MATER Misericordia Hospital. Welcome, Brother William. Please tell us what you do at MATER, please.
Thank you very much, Elizabeth. Yes, I'm Brother William Otieno. I'm a clinical psychologist at MATER Misericordia Hospital, where we take care of the mental health of our patients, relatives, students, as well as the staffs. So in there, we attend to the various concerns of our clients, sometimes screening them for those who may have various psychological issues or concerns. Sometimes also we do what we call assessment to locate and place who actually could be important to receive a particular health. And sometimes also we also place them, for various treatment, even if it could be within the hospital or services outside the hospital.
Thank you very much, and welcome to our studio. I know it's a complex, multivalent subject that requires continuous and sustained awareness. So maybe to start off, please tell us, what do we mean by mental health?
Thank you, Elizabeth, for that question. Mental health is, as you mentioned, is a very complex subject. And by definition, sometimes many people seem to lose the primary ingredients that must be reflected for it to qualify as a mental health. First of all, according to WHO, that's World Health Organization, they define mental health, as that subject that must connotate three aspects. First of all, the person must be in a position to realize his or her own achievements in life. He must be able to cope with the normal stresses of life. He must as well also be able to contribute to his or her own community. So it is important to note that when somebody falls short of those components, then you are actually mirroring mental health. And that becomes very important for you to receive psychological support.
Thank you, brother. Now, why should we be more concerned about mental health?
Mental health, it is very important for not just you and me, but for every person, knowing that according to various, probably I could first say that researches which are available is that statistically Kenya in context have got 6 million people who are suffering from mental health concerns like depression, anxiety, also substance use and abuse. So it is important to note that why should we just lose 6 million like that? And according to WHO report, it places Kenya in context, as 6th position in Africa as a country that is having a lot of mental health concerns. So therefore, it is a subject that me and you must be concerned about. Yes.
Thank you, brother. Now, I know you've been dealing with people with mental issues for quite considerable time.
Yes.
And you understand what it means to have a mental illness, because as a psychologist, when you deal with them, you try to place yourself in their shoe.
Yeah.
So what does it really mean to have a mental illness?
Good question. Mental illness, it is important for us to know that these people that might have such concerns manifest it in different ingredients, or I would say domains of their life. For instance, the cognitive aspect, where there could be impairment in terms of their ability, to think through, judge through, reason out their conditions. Sometimes also over their emotions, the emotions could be compromised as well. And behaviorally, they are incapacitated, to take care of what they may be doing in day-to-day life. So therefore, it's very important for us to note that mental health is a subject that must be taken care of so that we promote the mental well-being of our people. Yes.
Thank you. Now, there might be somebody who is watching us and he or she is going through a mental issue, but maybe they are not certain whether it's really a mental issue or not. What are some of the common mental health problems?
Mental health problems range in terms of the severity. Sometimes we don't seem to be careful in terms of knowing what exactly could be amounting to mental health that must place somebody for the right therapeutic treatment. Commonest mental health concerns, for instance, like anxiety, marital discord, relationship issues, substance abuse, depression. All those are mental health concerns. So it depends exactly with how a person manifests. If the person manifests in what we may sometimes consider as just ordinary, normal challenges that range in terms of mild to moderate, those people definitely could manifest in terms of just relationship issues. Yeah, but when it comes to severity, then that is when now it grades into depression, anxiety disorders, substance abuse, and in that sense, therefore, this person requires a deep sense of therapeutic approach to help this person get restored back into quality and optimum function.
All right, as human beings, we are social in nature, and when someone has a mental illness, what does it affect, or whom does it affect?
Thank you for that question. How mental health affects us is into different areas of human functionality. For instance, as we are here as probably people who are working, so in our line of work in terms of our occupation, definitely mental health can manifest and compromise your work. Like power for you to have the motivation to come here. Sometimes you can be undergoing certain challenges that may as well, compromise your power to judge, enthusiasm to come and love your work. Also in people who are in places like, for instance, people at work, their power to make right judgment, could be as well compromised. And also for children, at this time of a very difficult moment of our country in terms of the ravages that COVID has also given to us. Children are at home. They could as well be going through different mental health concerns, but if parents are not keen to notice some of those things, this may go unnoticed, and therefore the parents at home may also be suffering quite a lot, from mental health concerns. And also the couples or people who are in deep relationship, they may as well be experiencing challenges in terms of the communication, in terms of people who are losing various earnings in life with these pay cuts, all those are having a bearable impact on the mental well-being of different cadres.
You've mentioned the family context. If, for example, if a parent has a mental illness, how does that affect the other partner, children, and even other extended family members?
Thank you very much. As I mentioned that mental health manifests in terms of the cognitive aspect of the person's life, that is in your own ability to reason through, to judge through situations, to make rational decision, as well as, in terms of your emotions. If you are power to have good emotions that you require, to accompany in your own day-to-day activities, as well as your behavior. So to this parent or a person who is having some of those mental health concerns, it would manifest in terms of their communication in the house. Sometimes you get situations where the mother may just be outbursting in terms of the anger. Sometimes also the communication, you get these parents who is not even able, to understand that this person that I am with, my children or my partner, might be undergoing some kind of trauma as well in life, and therefore how do I approach this person? So just to respond to your question, it manifests in terms of the communication challenges would be there, And that's very significant, because that is where now it becomes the predictor of how do you support somebody. If there is dead communication, the interaction would be difficult. The power also to know that this person could be having mental health issues might be difficult or might go undetected. So it's very important to know that, yes, as an individual, how do I, as a person, probably in the context of the family, be able to read and know that this person could be manifesting certain mental concerns. And this might show in terms of the behavior. How is the language, how is the body language of this person? How has the communication changed in terms of this person? And maybe also the functionality, maybe there's changes in the eating, there's changes in the sleeping. All these are already connotating that there could be a concern in terms of the mental well-being of the family members. So we shouldn't actually forget about mental health at every minute. Even at work here, when your colleague would come and you've noticed that behaviorally there are changes, the reporting time, probably the grooming is changing. All these are ingredients that should not go unnoticed, because they could be pointing in terms of the mental well-being of this person.
Thank you, brother, for that in-depth. So now, what are some of the causes of mental illness? What are these the things that might predispose someone to mental illness?
Thank you for that question. Mental illness, as I mentioned before, is a very complex subject. So even in terms of what causes mental illness, it's really quite diverse. And it comes in terms of different ingredients, which I'll put three at most. The first, genetical makeup of the person. This plays a major role in terms of causing the mental health. How about the biological factors? Things like the hormones that we do have, each and every person. And also in terms of the neurotransmitters. These are the brain chemical processes or the activities that play a major role in terms of your brain activities. So it is important to note that these may be ingredients that can lead into mental health, but not to forget about also psychosocial factors, environmental factors. If you are coming from a family or a place that is always full of abusive language, probably presence of substance use at home, all this would definitely lead into mental health concerns. Also, it's not to forget about at this very challenging moment, in terms of our society, our country going through various economical challenges, financial challenges, all these things are intertwined and they later would cause mental health concerns. So there isn't like this is specific cause, but a multifactorial approach that leads into actually mental health. So you cannot pinpoint that this is the single most cause, but quite a number of various factors. Yes, just as I've mentioned.
So now, if, for example, when a parent has children and this parent happens to have a mental illness, is there a chance that one of the children will suffer from mental illness?
Good question. Yes, there is a high chance that actually the children might also suffer. Just as I mentioned that one of the causative factor is genetical. Some of these mental health concerns are passed down in terms of the genes to the children. So like for instance, if somebody, one of the parent might be having a mental health concern in terms of substance abuse, there's a high likelihood that one of their children could as well get down, with drug abuse. Yeah. So in that context, yes, children can get some of the mental health passed down to them from their parents.
So what can be done to mitigate or prevent that?
The first thing would be creating awareness. Most of the time, children may be symptomatic, as in manifesting symptoms about certain mental health, but then the parents are not able to notice this. So it is important, therefore, for in the context of the family to be able to identify some of these symptoms that children might be showing. How are they manifesting? There could be a problem with the communication. There could be a problem with the language, problem with the speech, drop in the grades. So when the grades at school are getting down, unlike before, this is already a pointer that the parents would need to be careful, to pay attention to know what seems to be changing in terms of my child. How has the communication changed? How is the body language changed? Maybe sometimes there are certain mental health concerns probably that are manifest in terms of the developmental milestone of the child. A child, for instance, was not urinating, but then the child begins to urinate. What does that tell you about the child? It means that this child could be going through a certain traumatic experience that is now going contrary to the desirable developmental.
Thank you, Brother William. We are discussing mental health issues here on Capuchin Television with me, Asasha Elizabeth, and Brother William Otieno, a clinical psychologist. We are taking a very short break and we will be right back with more. Stay tuned.
After having a successful breast and cervical cancer screening, MATER Misericordia Hospital has organized a prostate cancer screening camp. The camp will be on 15th November 2020 at Duel Karen between 8 a.m. and 2 p.m. For more information on prostate cancer screening camp, contact us on 0722 231 786 or 0722 318 149. MATER Misericordia Hospital cares.
Kipaimara ni sakramenti yenye kumpa Mkristo Roho Mtakatifu na ukamilifu wa mapaji yake 7, kumfanya Mkristo mkamilifu na kumfanya shahidi hodari wa Yesu Kristo mpaka kufa.
Kupata kipaimara kama sikiza tuni yako, tuma neno sikiza likifuatwa na nambari 738100272 kwa 811.
Coronavirus COVID-19 is a respiratory virus spreading across the world. The infection is spread from droplets of coughing and sneezing of an infected person, touching or shaking hands, or being in contact with contaminated surfaces or objects with the virus. The signs and symptoms are fever, coughing, headache, body ache, difficulty in breathing. The disease can be prevented by regularly washing hands with soap and running water. Avoid close contact with people who have flu-like symptoms. Avoid handshake, hugs, and kissing. Also, protect yourself by covering your mouth or nose using a disposable tissue while coughing or sneezing. If you experience these symptoms and you had traveled or been in contact with a person from a country reporting COVID-19, you should isolate yourself for 14 days and seek immediate medical attention or report to the nearest health center. This message has been brought to you by the government of Kenya and its partners. For accurate information on COVID-19, dial *719# or call 719. Follow us on Twitter at MOH_Kenya, at spokesperson GOK, at WHO.
October being a Breast Cancer Awareness Month, MATER Misericordia Hospital is having a free breast examination throughout the month at our main hospital and all our medical centers. Take this opportunity to have your breast examined and learn more about breast cancer, how to do breast self-examination, mammography, breast ultrasound, fine needle aspiration, treatment and side effects, recovery and renewal. Our mammogram, breast ultrasound and pap smear charges have been drastically reduced through this month. Mammogram is at 2,500 Kenya shillings. Breast ultrasound is at 3,000 Kenya shillings. Pap smear is at 1,500 Kenya shillings. The schedule of screening centers will be as follows. Main hospital, Monday to Friday between 7 and 10 a.m. Buruburu, Monday between 8 and 1 p.m. Development House, Tuesday between 8 and 12 noon. Karen, Monday to Friday between 8 and 12 noon. Westlands, Monday to Friday between 8 and 12 noon. Thika, Monday and Friday between 8 and 10 a.m. Kasarani, Tuesday and Wednesday between 8 and 10:30 a.m. Shujaa, Wednesday and Thursday between 8 and 12 noon. Did you know that women aged 30 years and above are at a higher risk of breast cancer and are encouraged to attend? Please share this information with your colleague, friends, and relatives. MATER Hospital Breast Clinic runs every Wednesday between 9 and 11 a.m. Please contact us on 0732 163 132 or 0719 073 132 to book an appointment. MATER Misericordia Hospital cares.
Welcome back to our live discussion. If you are just tuning in for the live show, we are discussing mental health with Brother William Otieno, a practicing psychologist. Now, before we continue with the discussion, I would like you to look at a very short clip that was made on the 10th of October 2020, when the world was marking the World Mental Health Day. Now, it is a clip of a mother who lost a child to depression. Have a look.
How do you bury your son? Just how do you bury your son? God, please help me. Please help me. Last year in August, this is the first time that I've been able to publicly share that my son committed suicide. And he committed suicide on my veranda, and my two small children are the ones who found him. And they kept telling me, "Mami, come and see, kuna game mbaya chichi anacheza." And it was a Sunday evening and we had just had supper. And I thought that it was just one of his antics because he was a difficult boy. He became very difficult after he failed his Form 4 exams. And so finally, when they kept going and coming, and I was in my room. When I went outside, I found my son hanging on my veranda. And the most wicked sight in my life is to see his tongue hanging almost up till here, because he had I screamed and I climbed up immediately and I collected him and I put him down and I rushed. I started calling his sisters to take him to hospital. So we rushed to hospital, but when we reached there, the hospital told us that nobody actually was doing anything. They checked it. I told them to put him on oxygen because he was lacking oxygen, and his fingers had become gray because there was no oxygen. That usually happens after 2 minutes or about 6 minutes of lack of oxygen in the body. So I walked out and I just went and I told God, "God, please help me. Please help me." So when I went back, they were not doing anything. I asked them, "Why aren't you doing anything?" And then it just dawned on me that actually it was over. And as it was over, there was no need for oxygen, and there was no need for anything else. And so we had to wait there until we reported to the chief, reported to Embakasi police, and wait until about 3 o'clock when the police vehicle came to take my son and put him in a vehicle car and take him to the mortuary. That is the most wicked, hateful thing that you'll ever need to see. Youth, hakuna kitu ngumu sana ile huwezi kuongea. There is nothing. There is nothing so hard that cannot be discussed. Whether it was sexual violence, which I came to discover that he had been sodomized, whether it was bullying in school, whether it was peer pressure, whether it was failing his exams. So when he failed his exams, first of all, his knowing depression makes you have all the symptoms that are mentioned in that paper. All of them, he had them. He would come to the sitting room, he's dressed in his underwear, he doesn't care, he doesn't come out of bed. So I used to insist he comes and eats with us. He doesn't want to eat with us. And so they become very difficult when depression hits. So recognize, please, when somebody starts shutting down, there's a problem. This boy had grown up as a very healthy, loving, fun-loving boy, full of love, full of laughter, full of jokes. But something happened somewhere along the line, and he just started withdrawing. And I kid you not, within 6 months, he had committed suicide. Youth, I want to tell you, you know, you can think that you're the one in the problem. There's a place you will reach, you will be unable to pull yourself out again. So before you reach that pit, before you reach that bottom, please ensure that you have talked to somebody. Please ensure that you have shared with somebody. There's nothing too hard. There's nothing too hard. The Bible says there is nothing new under the sun. So anything that you're going through is not new. It has happened to somebody else, and it can be solved. We buried my son, but now the after effects are the worst, because now I kept blaming myself. What didn't I do? What did I do? I tried to be as supportive as I wanted. He refused school. One day he just said, Mami sirudi hiyo shule. And that was it. I had to look for another school for him to go to. And when he went to another school again, then he refused to attend lessons. And then he attends exams, and then he's shocked that he fails his exams. And so when we showed him his results and he came home with the results, he couldn't believe it, and that's when he started going downhill. So the sisters, his sisters, my children, all tried to encourage him to do other things. You can't sit. Do you want to go to driving school? Do you want to go to college? Do you want to draw? Because he was a very good artist. Do you want to draw? What do you want to do? We'll do it for you. He says, Bado siko tayari, bado sijajua, I'll let you know. Then that day, he hung himself. But what it has happened, the after effects, is that thereafter, I'm the one who hit depression. I couldn't believe, I couldn't think, I couldn't eat. I couldn't think. How do you bury a 20-year-old son? A boy with mandevu? Somebody, how do you bury your son? Just how do you bury your son? In August this year, we went to fix his grave. And there's nobody who feels the pain apart from a mother, apart from a brother, apart from a sister. Nobody feels that pain. You might think that you're in a pit, but you're not. There is always help. I want to thank the government for making mental health a priority, because we would have lost so many. When we were going to collect my son that day, we were so many parents. We left at 5 in the morning because we were going to Siaya. And I tell you, 6 parents were there because of suicide. 6 parents. And those that were in there that were waiting to be collected the following day, some were being brought in. We cannot lose youth for something that has got a solution. We cannot lose you who have got the energy to build our country for something that has got solutions. I beg you to engage with the processes that are available for us, for the options that are open for us, and please, so that you don't hurt your parents also. Because even when you go, the pain remains with us. The pain remains with the sisters, the pain remains with the brother, and the stigma that is associated with suicide. I personally don't care. I personally don't care what anybody thinks about me. And that is why I said that just to honor my son's memory, I will speak about mental health. Thank you very much.
A very painful and horrendous story of a mother over their brother. And these are the issues that we keep on referring on when we talk about mental health awareness. Now, what are some of the cognitive or perceptible signs, telltale signs of mental illness? Because we can hear the mother saying that she just wishes that she could know that something was wrong with the boy. Because she was able to tell, but she didn't know what was happening or what was the precursor of his change in behavior.
Thank you very much, Elizabeth. It's really sad to note that this mother now is devastated because she was not able to pick early signs, of the depression level of this young teenager that really committed suicide. Yes, I think it's very important to note that major mental health concerns, they don't just go unnoticed. At some point in life, symptoms, signs would always be there. Like in just that very case, this mother tells us very well that she noticed that this person was getting disinterested, with the previous pleasurable activities, hobbies that the child was used to be doing. She noticed that. So it's important to start noticing some of the early indicators, of these mental health concerns, in particular the depression. Secondly, also to note that this person, there was change in terms of the mood. This boy could no longer have that desirable communication pattern with the mother. So the mother had noticed that there was a change in terms of the mood, in terms of the emotions that this boy would have towards the parents and equally to other siblings. Also, it is important to note that this person had withdrawn from the house in terms of relating with other siblings, together with the parents, and would mostly choose to be alone. So most of the depression symptoms would manifest in terms of the behavior of the person, in terms of the cognitive aspects of the boy, as well as in terms of the emotional manifestation. So if the parent is able to pick some of the changes, in terms of noticeable changes, this is a boy who was in school. Therefore, the mother must have equally noticed that there were changes in terms of the performance. How was the interaction of the child at home and as well as at school? So these are very important to note that manifestation of depression would occur at various aspects of the person's life. Yes, thank you.
All right, so what am I supposed to do as a parent, a brother, a sister, or a relative when I notice a change in behavior or someone exhibiting symptoms of a mental illness or disorder?
Thank you for that question. We on day-to-day do interact with people, and as we interact with people, definitely we may pick a change, given that most of those people would be people that we already might have formed a certain relationship with. So as you are able to notice that there are changes in terms of how you previously used to interact, it is important to refer this person as early as possible for mental health checkup or probably just for assistance. And you must approach this person with an empathetic language, with the love, so that you don't judge. Let the person notice that you are not judging me, but you are there for me. You are caring about me, and that you seem to have noticed that there is a change in terms of how we are interacting, how probably, I'm going about my day-to-day activities, and your presence is significant. And therefore, in that very non-judgmental manner, I'll definitely take much heed to your approach, and I'll respond to you and definitely surrender myself for help. Thank you.
Thank you for that in-depth explanation. Now, can people with mental health recover fully?
Good question. Yes, people with mental health do recover, but it is a long journey, and this is dependent on what type of mental health is this person having. For instance, if somebody could be having major depressive symptom or major depression, this is a long-term cause that would require patience, would require empathetic understanding, and therefore one needs to be patient with such people. There could be at times they may manifest positive change that one might conclude that fully somebody has recovered. But again, we have scenarios that sometimes again symptoms may relapse. So it is important to note that yes, people do recover, but it's important to keep monitoring the person so that should the symptoms relapse again, you are there to support. Yes.
And are mental health issues or other problems preventable?
Yes, mental health issues can be prevented. But the challenge is always that most of those mental health concerns, we stay, we live, we interact, we act in an environment that would definitely be a precursor for some of these mental health concerns. Therefore, the effort would always be, how aware are you that you are already having some kind of mental health concern? How ready are you to seek help? And how supportive is your environment? How supportive is the family? How supportive are your friends? How supportive is the church? How supportive is the organization where you are? So that then, therefore, they get into activities that may kind of help people not anymore to go through certain life pressures that would subject you into mental health. For instance, stress. Stress is a normal occurrence in life.
Yeah, sure.
But remember, this stress can grade into different content, and that's when it becomes now distress, which is the negative stress now. So at that level, this person is already showing early indication for help. But sometimes, because they are able to function still well, that goes unnoticed. And so somebody may just see that, he's still on with his work, so seemingly he's managing his distress well. But this is already not an indication that all is well. And then this distress, this negative distress, grades into a dysfunctionality that it incapacitates the person's functions. That then now the person tries to cope through various activities. Then some of those activities could be probably indulgence into drinking. Sometimes somebody gets into other addictive like behaviors. So it is important to know that yes, we play a role to prevent, to facilitate an environment that does not trigger mental health concerns.
So in simple terms, mental health is a collective responsibility from the individual perspective and a community as a whole?
Exactly, exactly. And each and every person plays a major role into this. Sometimes the symptom bearer may not be aware. Because remember, when already your symptoms have rendered you dysfunctional, you may not know. You're finding pleasure probably in your drinking. You're finding meaning in withdrawing from whatever you used to do well. And you don't know. And before you realize, you're already into it. And so you find, like in the context of this boy committing suicide, this was not a case that we needed to have left to an extent of committing suicide. There was already early symptoms, early signs from the school, from the family environment. The mother was noticing withdrawal. So it was a collective responsibility of the mother as well as of the children in that house. What was the role of these people? But probably sometimes we get absorbed into our day-to-day activities until we normalize everything in the house, in our context. Okay.
So now, where can someone with a mental illness or disorder seek psychological or psychiatric services?
Thank you for that question. Yes, there are quite a number of institutions or places where one can seek help. But in MATER Misericordia Hospital, we offer a kind of a package of mental health approach that helps to promote recovery, to promote mental well-being, where we offer counseling services. We also offer psychiatric services. Psychiatric services could be offered to people who are already having severe mental issues like depression, anxiety, addictive behaviors, neurocognitive disorders, sometimes disruptive behaviors, defiance, oppositional defiance. All this is important to note that they can be taken care of in the context of the marital discord, relationship in the house, relationship at the family level. Sometimes all these factors can harbor a person from optimally functioning. But yes, you shouldn't stay alone, dying in your own context. You can seek services at MATER Misericordia Hospital, whereby in those very elements that you seem to be going through, you can get support. If it is a support that may require medication, just to stabilize a little bit of the brain processes, like in major depression, you may need presence of medication. You can always get it in MATER through our psychiatrists. Thank you.
Thank you, brother. Now, in the past few years, we have seen a sharp increase in cases of suicide, especially among youths. Now, even in the video that we watched shortly after the short break, you heard the mother saying that the same day they were going to collect the body of her son, there were other boys or other younger people who had committed suicide. What is it that you're not doing right as a community or as a country?
Good. Primarily, mental health has not been given the concern that it requires. It has not been well understood, and probably it's also not well promoted. Remember, there's no health without mental health. And therefore, this is not just an individual responsibility. It's equally a government responsibility. It is a responsibility that cuts across different organs in the society, be it the church, be it the schools, be it all the institutions, family being the primary institution, where we should brood ingredients that should promote mental well-being. So it is important for each and every person to play a role. Suicide, it's a symptom of a mental health concern. It in itself, this person could have already been indicating that there are changes in terms of how he thinks about himself, he thinks about whatever he does, you know, how has his or their interaction also manifested. And therefore, even the children that are getting into an end stage of committing suicide, there are those that are also observing. And remember, social media is out there showing. And so it can kind of create a meaning to other young generation that when you are undergoing certain pressure in life, there can always be an end. And what is the end for me? It's commit suicide. So media should also play a role in balancing so that we promote more of preventive measures. Yes, as well as engaging in interactions that can promote people from not expressing themselves out. We need to express ourselves. When you're undergoing challenges, find at least a person that you can confide to, that you can share yourself
All
out.
right. Thank you. Now, my director tells me our time is up, but before we wind up, I would give Brother William Otieno a minute to give us his parting shot.
Thank you, Capuchin TV, for hosting me. And in today, it was just creating awareness and sensitizing also the society about mental health. And also to note that MATER Misericordia Hospital is having an approach to well-being that cuts across not just the medical, but as well as the spiritual, and not to forget about psychological. And we do offer these services at various places. We have our own satellites, and we've opened another one not far from our context here at Karen, which is having medical services as well as psychological services. And it is just located at the well opposite Shrine, and one can always receive services there. In addition, also we are having a prostate cancer awareness, and this is going to be offered on 15th of November, actually at the Well and that medical satellite, and all men are welcome for the prostate screening. And also to acknowledge my interviewer, it was good to have me around and just have a moment also to create awareness to the society. Thank you very much and welcome.
Thank you, brother, for your time and for being in our studio. Now, that's it for our discussion today on mental health. Now, remember that nobody is immune to mental health. Myself, I'm a living testimony because I went through this depression at some point. So I had to accept it, seek help, and finally, I was good and on toes. Now, save your family the agony, save your family the pain, because when you opt for suicide, suicide is not an antidote for any health issues, especially mental health issues. You can discuss, you heard our speakers say, there's nothing that is too difficult to discuss or to solve. They say a problem shared is a problem half solved. It might sound a cliche, but well, it holds water in this context. So share, find someone that you trust, share with them, and be sure to find help. You've been with me, Asasha Elizabeth, and thank you so much for following up this discussion. See you next Friday. Goodbye.
After having a successful breast and cervical cancer screening, MATER Misericordia Hospital has organized a prostate cancer screening camp. The camp will be on 15th November 2020 at the Well Karen between 8 a.m. and 2 p.m. For more information on prostate cancer screening camp, contact us on 0722 231 786 or 0722 318 149. MATER Misericordia Hospital cares.